Hi there, I'm Kelsey Misprinter, Managing Editor of Solar Power World magazine, coming at you with another episode of the Contractor's Corner podcast. So before we get into our interview this month with Knobelsdorff Enterprises, or KE, which is much easier to say, I wanted to just take a second to talk about one of the most exciting annual things that me, Kelly, and Billy put together. It is Top Solar Contractors season. So we've opened up the application. Developers, installers, subcontractors are all welcome to apply to this free editorial list that we put together every year. The deadline to apply is May 27th. So please get your applications in as soon as you can. We're looking forward to our 11th year, and we feature all of the contractors on the list in our July edition of the magazine. This has been going for a long time, and we are just honored to have so many great companies applying every year. We welcome any new companies, and we thank all of the people who've been with us since the start. So without further ado, let's go into this interview this month. We've got KE, and they are talking utility scale solar issues, some interesting Minnesota specific things that they've run into, as well as global supply chain issues and how they're managing that. And then some other really neat stuff they're doing to support young people getting into the trades. So I hope you enjoy this interview, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Contractor's Corner. Hey there, I'm here with Knobelsdorff Enterprises. I've got Carl von Knobelsdorff, the president and CEO here, and then Aaron Pyfron, who is the senior VP of operations. So welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome. How did you both get into solar energy?
Okay, I'll start. I was working for a company called Blattner Energy in the estimating department, and at that time I was moving into a project manager role. And as I moved into that role during the transition, we had some customers coming forward wanting some support on getting into the solar market, and that started the endeavor into the market. So the next 2-3 years I spent doing recon work and developing market customers, suppliers, that network. And then
what was the title they had on your door?
I was called Solar Boy. Right? So it was on when my mailbox had Solar Boy was delivered by mail. You knew who I was, right? So I built a team around that, and I think in the next 10 years, employed over 5 gigawatts of renewable energy or solar projects specifically. So and then in 19 came here to KE. So
pretty impressive career. Started in civil and railroad.
Yep.
In your career first, right?
Railroad and wind work is where I started. So, and it's funny, we're seeing full circle back into potentially some railroad customers putting solar on sites. So it all comes around. It's kind of cool.
Oh.
Wow.
Awesome. My intro into the solar market came in 2015, and it was when the Minnesota CSG program came about, and we had kind of a historic figure in Minnesota solar, Ralph Jacobson, with IPS. He had approached us along with Xcel Energy. They were doing a community solar project close to where we were, and they needed a pole farm built to do the interconnect to the utility. And they didn't have any experience with medium voltage electrical work. And we've worked with a lot with Xcel on the industrial side of our company for years. So got tied into that project that way, and built a pole farm for them, a 15 kV interconnect on the first site. And that went really well. And then they asked, well, what else do you guys want to do? And saw what was going on. So we'll do whatever you need us to do. So that led us into doing some underground work for them, and then got into racking and DC wiring and module installation for them. So
great.
The rest is history as well.
Yep.
I love that railroad full circle story too. That's really neat.
Cool.
So what has been the most rewarding moment of your career at KE?
For me, it's developing people. So that is the single most rewarding part of our job, and my job is watching young talent come in, going into the high schools and talking to kids, getting them fired up about the trades and watching them grow in the organization and develop into, their career path. And that for me is the best part of the job.
Originally, we're just a band of misfits, and we're growing this great organization, and everybody's finding their place in the world. And as they develop and grow and build talent, and they move up, take out another job. I mean, hopefully internally, but even if people leave, it's awesome to see people grow and develop. And it's one of those things that I still enjoy, getting those LinkedIn buzzes. And I don't mean just even KE, it's like your suppliers, your vendors. It's fun to see those relationships you supported and worked alongside, and watching those people grow in the business, staying in solar. It's very exciting.
Business is all about people, right? And it's your interaction with them, both internal and external. And it's just fun watching people grow in a company. So,
yeah, tell me more about your experience going into high schools. Do you find that the students know about solar already as a job prospect?
They don't. So for me, I'm a high school graduate. I didn't go to college. I came right out of school, and I loved to work. I was not a good student, right? Just had a good work ethic and drive and loved to work. So I'm very passionate about the trades. We started a program 2 years ago called Operation Trades Awareness, where we wanted to find a way to give back to our local communities and that we work in and we have people in. And so we were trying to brainstorm ideas, and we came up with, okay, we love kids and we love the trades. How do we pair these two together? So it started with our first year. We partnered with 7 local school districts, about, I think 700 kids per class. So it starts with kindergarten. Kindergartners get a book on construction. We go in and read the book to them. They get to take the book home, and then they get a flyer that goes home to the parents promoting the trades, right? Getting them thinking early on what the trades look like, what a career path looks like, wages. And for a lot of them, especially the parents, it really opens their eyes. They never knew that you could make such a good career without going to school, a 4-year program, right? 8th graders, we actually take on a field trip to a solar site, and they get to learn all about renewable energy and what goes into the project from a design, procurement, the civil and grading work, the fencing and pile driving, the racking, module setting, DC wiring, commissioning, and they kind of see that project from tip to tail of what goes into it. Graduating seniors, we give a home starter toolkit and then kind of that same flyer. And last year, I think we hired 10 kids right out of talking to those senior classes. So it's been a great program. It's a lot of fun, and we're looking to expand that both regionally and nationally to help get more of our vendors and our counterparts in the industry, kind of give them here's what we did, here's how you can do it, and it just benefit the industry to have more people in the trades. So.
Yeah. Wow. That's really comprehensive, starting from such a young age. That's cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and the other people do as well. So we try to have people who live in those communities and maybe have kids in those schools. They're the ones that get to go to the school, and we try and bring a big truck that the kids can come out and see, and they dress up in hard hats and vests, and the kids really get a kick out of it. So, and
some of them didn't even know the option existed.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, it's cool to see that somebody's going on and have a successful career in something that they wouldn't have known the opportunity existed unless you gave them that exposure. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it kind of ties back full circle into that developing people, right? Getting the education out there for the kids and showing them what's out there in the world besides what they read in a book or got told at school. And
yeah,
it's been a lot of fun.
How else, besides that really cool training and informational aspect, how else does your company stand out from others?
Oh, go ahead.
I'll take a couple things that I think technical expertise. I mean, when we have problems, a lot of people call in KE and help them troubleshoot, help work through things. Even internally, the ability to flush out an issue and find what the root cause is and get it fixed timely is second to none here. I mean, truly second to none. I've worked for some large companies, and it's pretty impressive, right? And then being a full EPC that self-performs work. I mean, we see a lot of our competitors, I don't like to call them suitcase contractors, but they typically don't. They'll do the engineering, they'll do the procurement, but they'll hire the resources on the ground, and we see it all the way through, and that's pretty cool. And it's something that I look at, and this is maybe not as tangible, but we deliver a great experience. I mean, whether it's our customers, our vendors, and folks we're working with, our teammates, it's a good experience all around. It's a fun environment, and it's something that we work hard, we drive for success. I mean, we're a driven organization, but I think the experience piece of it it's unique to us.
Yeah, great points. I think that one of the biggest thing that sets us apart from others is we have more fun than anybody has, right? At the end of the day, construction is hard, construction is challenging, but it's fun. And we make it fun by focusing on our people, right? Lots of companies focus on the bottom line and it's all about numbers. Yes, we need to make money, but we don't play the game by watching the scoreboard, right? We play the game by focusing on the players that are out on the court. So I think that really helps set us apart, and it helps attract top talent. Good people attract good people, and the amount of people that we have hired and have come to us based on referrals or seeing what our company is about, watching our YouTube videos, seeing us on social media, it's incredible. I mean, it is just a great magnet for talent by treating your people the way you want to be treated, and they kind of reciprocate that. And we take care of our people take care of our customers, and then our customers take care of the company.
Tell me about the most unique project your company has done.
We really didn't have a solar market in 2014, and came 2015 and 16 through the community solar legislation. It brought a lot of contractors to the state that were not licensed in the state and didn't know how to operate in Minnesota. When a contractor would fail and it would end up back on the bonding company or end up in a developer's hands that, this was a bad decision, we'd come in at the end and kind of save the day and get the project past the finish line for them. So there's a numerous portfolios of projects in Minnesota where we came in at the end and got to get them past the finish line and built great customer relationships that way, which then the next round, they ended up hiring us or bringing us to other states for them. And sometimes it was just technical things. They ran into a situation where they couldn't figure out why breakers were tripping and things weren't working correctly, and they would bring us in as a technical resource to help troubleshoot and solve those problems.
Can you tell me more about what's unique about installing in Minnesota? Is it the ground? Is it weather?
It really comes down to Minnesota has some challenging licensing requirements where the state decided that the mechanical racking is electrical work. So you have to perform that under a 2-to-1 ratio. And it's nothing more than pushing bolts and setting structural steel. It's not electrical work. We don't go to an electrical apprenticeship program to learn how to set structural steel, right? You go to an electrical apprenticeship program to learn how to do things to the NEC and pull wire and terminate and install conduit, install cables. But in Minnesota, they decided it was electrical work. So you now have to have electricians set structural steel and assemble mechanical racking. Again, it's not work electricians are used to. It's not work that electricians usually want to do. So it posed some real challenges to try and have enough labor to be able to do that work under a 2-to-1 journeyman to apprentice ratio. That was probably the most challenging. The second most challenging piece was winter, right? We had a lot of developers coming into the state who had never worked in a northern climate and didn't understand that from November generally to March, they're not ideal conditions. So you're working in frost and snow and frozen ground and, doing underground work, it just adds cost, right? So you got to thaw ground, you got to heat spoil piles, you got to import material. So that was a challenge of educating the customer sometimes of, we could build through the winter. It's going to cost you 30% more than you anticipated, but we can do it.
Interesting. Tell me, what's preventing you from installing more projects?
There's a couple things. One would be what Carl just referenced as far as the 2-to-1 ratio on structural. I mean, that's something that's very unique to Minnesota. We worked in 20 states, been worked in another 40, and I can't think of another state that has that criteria. So that prevents a labor challenge on the front line. And then it's growing teams internally. We're strategic about how quickly we're growing. We could go out and take on 6 new teams of projects, but you wouldn't have seasoned teams. You wouldn't have teams that do it at the KA way. You'd have teams that are bringing pieces from all over. And so it's bringing in people at the right pace, growing teams at the right pace to be sure that we're delivering that KA experience to everybody.
I think that kind of goes back to what sets us apart is we don't have a bunch of unskilled labor out there building jobs with a QA QC person that's checking boxes to make sure they do it right. We're a skilled labor, technical savvy company. We're not going to go out and take a bunch of new work on and go hire a bunch of people off the street that don't exist in the first place to try and knock out a bunch of work. Right? That's not the experience our customers expect, and that's not what we expect out of our people. So it's growing at a rate that you can put out top quality projects, right? Keep people happy. The other piece that gets to be challenging is some of the policy that we deal with our government officials putting out in front of us that makes, you don't know if the projects are viable because you don't know what new tariff is going to be in place. And, this year we're faced with challenges with with modules and steel supply. And, our customers couldn't pick the modules they were going to use till late because they weren't sure which modules were going to be impacted by the tariff, right? And then that delays us from being able to start engineering, which delays us from being able to procure pile and to procure racking, which then you're at the mercy of price increases that are going on between all the different forces out there from the war in Ukraine and COVID. And it's a challenging time to be in the market and try to figure out what projects will actually get built and what materials are going to be available. And if we could get some consistent policy out there that you could count on and know what was going to happen would really help.
Absolutely. I also just worked on a story about interconnection and just the grid in general not being ready for those big goals. Any
interconnection process with many utilities can be challenging. We face one where just the delays in getting an application through the system and the costs, it's like they're trying to prevent you from getting to connect some of these projects. So every two sides to every story, but the process to get a project in Minnesota through the process has definitely got a lot slower and has delayed projects from going online when you anticipated them to go online. So,
yeah, we have customers a year out thinking they're going to build 10 projects in Minnesota, and due to that delay, they're hitting 2 of them, right? And those next ones are getting pushed in the following year, and you're seeing, and I see that all too common. It's not an uncommon thing to see.
Yeah. Have you guys had to delay projects just because of module shortages lately too?
Yes.
I mean, the situation you talked about, the customer picking modules was, there's only a few handfuls that they could actually get, and that actually delayed some of these projects, pushed them into later this year. Then the Ukraine thing popped up, and that further complicates things.
We also heard that some utility scale EPCs are actually installing everything but the modules ahead of time, and then just to make sure that projects are still somewhat on track. Have you guys done that at all?
We have installed many projects where we have to come back to do modules because there was a delay in shipping, they were stuck in the port, whatever that reason may be. There's been many sites over the last couple of years that sit just waiting for modules.
Have you ever heard the term mod party? Yeah, that's what's happening. Right?
I have not.
A mod party. Yeah, it's when everything else is built out. We got 6 sites, and we're just going back and installing modules across those sites.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We've also had projects that sit waiting on interconnection. So we've had projects that sit and wait. They're completely built, they're commissioned, but we can't interconnect them. So
that's frustrating, I'm sure. What are some future product trends you're looking forward to?
To me, it's always the higher wattage modules continuing to come out in a small, more efficient modules, maybe not just higher wattage, but more efficient. And I think as you're adding batteries, you're going to see more batteries coming in. I'd say California's, anything getting built today probably has batteries tied with it. If we move that into the Midwest, we're starting to see more interest in batteries, and that'll be a cool element because it'll change this project size and the ability to treat that power more like baseload power, so it should benefit the utility. And I think that's an exciting element of change. And it's always interesting when your trackers out there that have technology that allow them to adjust out of the sun or get out of shading and capture truly the most energy that they can. To me, that's those little, I'd call them tweaks, software updates, things that somebody's in a think tank thinking about how can I get more power out of this. That's always neat, right? That's how we get the percent or two more power out of a plant by just doing some software updates and maybe a little bit of equipment swap out. So just eking that additional electricity out of that plant is pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're watching the increase in the module wattages over the 5-6 years that I've been in the market has been pretty incredible. To start with a 250 watt module, and today we're not installing anything that's under 400. It seems like everything's in that 450 to 550, and they're bifacial. That technology has been a lot of fun. And then the inverter technology, everything was central inverters, and then to the small strings. Now the string inverters continue to get larger. The technology and the innovation is ever changing. So it's staying on top of that stuff, and in which we try to do a great job of to bring that to our customers of what's coming next to try and help them be, as successful as possible. Another piece that's been a lot of fun to see is just the DAS systems on these sites and watching the intelligence of these systems and the data analytics coming out of there. So like Aaron had mentioned before, not only are we an EPC contractor, but we also add that M in there with the maintenance. So we offer full O&M maintenance services to our clients, so we can build your plant and then help maintain it after the fact, which our clients in Minnesota definitely love, having that local presence here to help them with all their O&M needs. So in helping build those DAS systems to better report what's happening on the sites to keep them up and keep them running efficiently for the clients.
Okay. For those systems, are those like custom built O&M software and hardware solutions you're talking about?
Some of them are off the shelf. Others we have. So Knobelsdorff has the 3 business units. We have an electrical construction company, we have an automation and systems integration company, and then our renewable energy group. So we pair our energy group with the systems integration group to help develop custom software to help monitor these plants to kind of give our customers a little bit of an edge up operating their plants. So
Using that existing hardware, that's what's neat about it. So we're able to pull data from that, and that's one of the projects we're monitoring now. It's kind of we're taking the current providers and we're putting it into our old system, and that's how we're able to track and monitor there's a fault or there's issues within that plant. So that's using existing hardware on site.
Okay. And I'm working on another story now that I'm curious about your perspective on. What's your go-to wire management solution? Are you bundling? Are you trenching? What's your strategy?
That kind of depends on the customer, because some customers are very specific on the solution they want, and then also the site conditions. So we're really good at underground. We're fast at it. We own a lot of our own equipment. So we got crews that love installing underground, but we do a lot of harnesses and BLA type installation as well. So
okay.
Yeah, it's somewhat site specific, customer specific, right? But
yeah,
there's lots of great products and options out there, and there's kind of that right fit for each site and customer.
Okay, great. Any last thoughts about looking forward into the solar future?
Hoping for some consistent government policy and regulation that kind of helps keep the growth in the market where it needs to be, and continues to allow us to have a good forecast into work and continue to hire and create good paying jobs across the country.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.